a poor boy from Liverpool. I'm just a poor boy from Liverpool.
Good evening, everyone. It's Monday evening, as you all know, and it's history night. And I definitely want to talk about history. I really do. Got the football show tomorrow, so you can talk as much as about football tomorrow than anything. And but tonight, I'm doing the Civil War, the impact it had on Liverpool, and other things as well. Be doing other things besides the Civil War, because I'm not going to go all right through the Civil War and why it started and the seeds of it. So that's what I'll be doing tonight: the impact of Liverpool and the Civil War. How did it form Liverpool? How did it make Liverpool? Did it make it any better? Did it make it more resilient? The way Liverpool is today. Very resilient people, very resilient city, by modern day history. The likes of them had its decline. With Thatcher and Geoffrey Howe, Tories. And I know Thatcher said, well, we can't do it. She said it. We can't manage to decline it. Because of the resilience of Liverpool people. But anyway, I'll be doing the Civil War. But I just want to thank these wonderful people who sponsor all the Carlyle shows, every single one of them, and that's got patent services. Listen, if you know anyone who works for the NHS and they're wanting to do some decorating, just tell them to get these in. You get a special discount. Don't struggle. Don't struggle trying to paint and decorate or whatever. Just get them in. Just let them give you the price. You get a special discount. And a special discount also goes to any elderly. You might know your parents if you're young enough. You might know your grandparents who want decorating. Who want some decorating done. They get a special discount. So, just get them in. Get them in. Tell them to give you the price. And if you don't fit into the categories, get them in. Just say, listen, I want this done, I want that done. How much? That's all. And without any obligation. Just get them in. That's got patent services, the wonderful people who sponsor all the wonderful things that I try to talk about, like history and football and current affairs. Right, so I'm off to the doctors tomorrow. The results. And Adjer's bringing me up there. I was talking to Adjer today. I said, you left something here. He said, okay, I'll come down for it tomorrow. I said, well, I've got to go to the doctors. He said, I'll drop you off, no problem. So I made up with that. What have you been saying? Oh, Franco, the fellow with the best name on the planet. And he says, it's as easy to hate and it's as difficult to love. This is how the whole scheme of things works. All good things are difficult to achieve, and bad things are very easy to get. Confucius. It's like it's easy to tell a lie than to tell the truth. And Mark Twain says something like the lie goes around quicker than you can pull your pants up. Mark Twain said that. Good comment, that, actually. Franco says, perhaps we should learn from Confucius, promoting care, human values like kindness, family devotion, and the silver rule, advertising not to do others what you do not want done to yourself. That's fantastic, that. Franco. Hey, Franco. Yeah, brilliant. Well said, mate. That's a cracker, that. Really is. Almighty. Almighty. Hi, Frank and friends. Oh, that's fantastic. She's a lovely, lovely, lovely lady, this girl. South African. And we got to know each other. I'm talking a few years ago. We share the same political views on what's going on in the world today. We seek the truth. And that's how we met, like that. Just met like that. Me and a few others. Fantastic. Myra, I'll always love you. Oh, love you too, Myra. Always. You know that, sweetheart. I'm doing your mods work. Why do you have mods? Well, funny enough, some horrible people have been coming on. Racists. I'll tell you, he's not in at the moment. I'll tell Jason to make you a mod, Myra, because, you know, you get some horrible people. You really do, especially racists. I don't like racism in any shape or form. And anyway, we get rid of them right away. Then, you know, we'll do football and you get some complete and utter idiots who try to digress away from what we're actually talking about, Myra. So we get rid of them as well. It's the way it is, isn't it, really? And she says, Myra, if civilization forget where we come from, they lose their path. Yes, we always take a path. You take a path, I take a path, Franco takes a path, TW takes a path, everybody else takes a path. And it's strange. I was talking to our kids the other day, our Jared, and we were talking about family. And I've got a, very small family. Myself, my immediate family, like a daughter and 3 grandkids, and every single one of them have taken the right path. Every one of them. There's my little granddaughter. She became the poet laureate of the school. She's 14. Loves poetry, loves Shakespeare. And she wants to go to university. And she wants to become a lawyer because her older brother, James, he went to university and took up law. And that's what he is. And Ben, the middle one, all he wants to be is a plumber. A plumber. And he's doing it now, so it's great, to take the right path of everything. And that's just my immediate family. And I suppose you're all the same. TW. Hello, Frank. Hope all is well with you. Thank you. Thank you, T. You're a good man. Everyone's good on here. Every single one of us. Big up Frank and chat, says Edward, and carries on by saying, Where in the pool are we looking into tonight? It's everywhere. I'm going to start. I'll show you what I'm going to start off with. Just bear with me on this. No, I'm not. I'm going to start off with this. I'm sorry. I'm going to start off with that when I get going, after I read everything out. Right, so you're looking at Liverpool's year in the 1600s, and there's something significant about that, by the way. You mightn't think so from just looking at that, but it is, believe me. Believe me. So be good. And Barry says, even if Frank and everyone, hope you're all well on this wonderful evening. Yes. And Zenis Paparak all the way from Tampa. And he went the other day to Nashville to look at Liverpool. Him and his lad and a couple of mates. Which is great, because Zenis, he's in a band, loves coming to Liverpool every year, plays at the boat caverns, the Cavern Club and the Cavern Pub. Back from Nashville to a soggy Tampa, been raining all day. In better news, Mum finished their good treatments and rang the bell. Oh, go away. That's fantastic. I'm amazed up with anyone who beats the horrible disease. And the best bell ring ever, that coming out. Ding, ding, ding. I seen a little kid do it. Must have been about 7. And I don't know whether it was a doctor or a nurse, lifted him up. Rang the bell. That's it. Fantastic, that. Really, thanks. Made me a little evening, that, actually. You all have. Even as Ella says the tea. All right, how's your weekend? Great news, Dennis. Yes, says the tea. Edward, great news, Dennis. It is, believe you me. I love anything like that. Thanks. Peace. And Barry Aldridge, excellent news, Dennis. Congratulations. Lovely. Weekend's okay. Thanks, Barry. Helps with the late night win. You're not going to believe it, but when they had the post match, I just forgot the time. And the introduction here, in here alone, it's so loud. And I meant to tell Jason to, wind it down, but I forgot. And when I finished, hooked the block up. Because it was dead loud. Felt terrible. Tried to turn everything off. Couldn't. But anyway, it's nice and mellow now for the introduction. Mike Davo. Hiya, Dave. Hiya, Mike. Hello, Frank. Hello, mate. Good to see you. And Barry Aldridge to the impressed with Morrison, Naoni, Puma, Scanlon. Tomorrow night, that boys, I'm gonna do this there. I'm not gonna do it. Honestly. I'm not going to do football. Please, I haven't done it for ages. I'm always getting sidetracked, and I don't mind being sidetracked, but I've got to do this tonight, honestly. Buonasera, Franco and chatters. Hope you're all well. Good luck tomorrow, Franco. Great news about your mum, Dennis. Franco, did you get the most seller paper? No. No, I didn't get it, unfortunately, Toscana. No. And Mike, do you know what? That comment? It's so small, yet so powerful. What Mike Davis says. Mike Davidson says, it costs nothing to be nice. And I've always said, Mike, honestly, show a little respect and you'll get an abundance back. I've always said that. I used to say it to my students. Show a little respect. That's all. And you'll get an abundance back. Steve Mulholland. Great fella. My old mate. Hi Frank, just before you start your history show, make sure you try and watch the Rick Sanchez interview with Roger Waters later. I seen the one with Tucker Carlson, Roger Waters. Watched that the other day. Fantastic. Fantastic. I love Waters. Our Francine went down and dragged little Sophia down to London to see him last year sometime. Roger Waters. But he lives in the States, doesn't he? But I will watch that. I will. I don't mind Rick. He's a good lad. Lindsay. Hiya, Lindsay. Even if Frank and everyone. And Lindsay explains, can everyone use caps to help Frank, please? Thank you, Lindsay. You're going to get your egg kicked in. Do you know what? When we were in our 20s, late 20s, when we went to match, we used to call for this fella who was much older than us, Ray Bashino. And anyway, we used to go and call for him because he was a lovely fella. And all of a sudden, we were knocking, as you do. And the door opened and he's standing there. It was not that funny. He had like this tank top on and it was rolled up, And he had two scarves around his wrist and these bobber boots. And he's going, you're going to get your then I kicked it. And we just looked, I said, come on, let's go. And me and James, James Allen, that is, mate, looked at each other. I said, is he fucking serious? Because he's walking down to London. And we were just gobsmacked. So I'm not walking with him like that. Because that's how they dressed. All these fellas from out of town, you. Anyway, he's messing. He said, I won't be a minute. And then he just got dressed and we went again. Without the bother boys. It's genuine. Smiles make smart, absolutely. Absolutely. Mike. And Carl Leadham, Zippy from Rainbow, dead, 78. Well, his voice is. Hello, Jeffrey. Blimey. They were the things we had to watch. Things we had to watch. I'll tell you who, Bill Oddie's just died, hasn't he? You know, out of the, I never used to like them, like, I thought they were awful. But he became wildlife fella, didn't he? Which was great. He was a twitcher, loved birds. And I don't mean on the beach. He loved birds in the sky and in forests and in the back garden, them kind of birds. And Dennis says, appreciate all the support, folks, means a lot. Absolutely, Dennis. Because these are good people on here, as you know. And Phil. Hello, Frank and Chatters. Hello, Phil. And he carries on by saying to Mike Davis, loving your 3-Cortina looks like a GT. I had a GXL. Is that on his profile? I had an Opel Manta in 1971. Cracker it was, white, with a black roof. Just a black roof. It's like getting into a cockpit. It's great. The old Manta, Opel Manta. Like a sports car it was. And lovely little Linda says, it costs nothing to be nice and polite. It doesn't. It doesn't, Linda. You know that. Oh, I forgot. Oh. Cedric. Oh, there he is. Big up legends with the on pointer. For the continued health of Dennis's mother, chat. Hope you are all. That's great. That's fab, though. I'm gonna go. A lovely Myra. Your good mods are here. Yes, Myra. Do not make. Oh, go away. Do not make me a mod. Make Lee Argent. I trained him to be a super mod, a master mod. Always thank your mods. Always do. Sometimes when they do the job. I always end up doing the job myself. I think they're all out making a cup of tea or something, Myra. Improved Delta meant. Yeah, we knew what you meant. We knew what you meant, Cedric. Genuinely. We knew that, mate. Right, so I want to concentrate on the little history of Liverpool. I hope you'll enjoy it. Because I just want to add here. And when you look at this, see this thing up here? That's the Beacon. That's Everton Beacon. That. Strangely enough, that's where our kid lives, our Jared, round there. Now, the Beacon was actually built by the Romans after the AD 43 Claudian invasion because they circumnavigated the UK, well, just England at the beginning. And this was used, the Everton Beacon, as a semaphore for Chester. And for Ptolemy, a lad named Ptolemy, he was circumnavigating for the Romans the shorelines of England to see if everything was all right, where the next invasion was, or whatever. So they built this, and that stayed for hundreds of, well, over a town. How long did it stay? 1600 years. 1600 years. Because when we were fighting always at war with the Spanish and the French, they used that as a big chimney because they put straw and wood on top of it in case we got invaded by the French or the Spanish. And they just set fire to it. So that was the warning to everyone. Yeah. So that's always been there. And even today, it's known as Beacon Lane. Beacon Lane. Our kid just lives around the corner. Well, he lives facing it, actually. But that's it. That's basically it. Which is good. And here, I've got to point everything out here. This is St. Nick's Church. Because when the castle was built, when this was built here, they actually built a church called St. Mary Del Keys. And these are the artisans. William D. Ferris. He decided to, when he was made, you might as well say, the Lord Protector of the new borough of Liverpool in 1207. So he came down from Lancaster, and the first thing he said was, okay, we'll build a castle. Because, believe it or not, that was on the highest promontory from the sea, well, the Mersey. So it was built so that they could overlook everywhere. Don't forget, up here, it didn't belong to Liverpool, which was a place called Everton. So they built the castle. And in that castle, as I said, they built a church called St. Mary Del Keys. And when the people were very religious in those days, and when the people wanted to go to service, the sheriff at the time said, no, you can't come in here, because this was built around 1234. The castle. It opened up in 1234, that is. So anyway, he said, no, go and build your castle. And don't build it on the castle grounds. So he went over there. And they built this church called St. Mary Del Keys. Now, the church in the castle, St. Mary Del Keys, was the keys of the borough. You know, the keys. And this one, also known as St. Mary Del Keys, was the keys of here, the water. So this is what you're at. And here, right there, was Liverpool's first custom house. And this was for trade that was coming in via the ships. And have you noticed all around here, there's the old town hall there, the original one there. And all these homes here around, every single one. Have you noticed the wall as well that was built? Because that's where the tide used to go right up. The water. So all these homes are everywhere around. Everywhere. Was built from stone. Now, you had to have a special license to build from stone. Because even at the tower here, that had to get a special license to be built because the Molyneux wanted to, build a castle similar to this. And this was absolutely brilliant. That became a prison, by the way. The Tower building became a prison. And when you think about it, a prison, it became a prison for everyone. And when we were there during the Napoleonic Wars, when we captured the French, that's where they went in there. The Tower building. So why was it all stone where you had to have permission? Well, it was in 1565. There was a mayor named Cross, John Cross. And on the 23rd of December, 1565, it's documented as the Great Storm. In fact, it was a hurricane that blew everything down. The only things that went was the church that wasn't blown away. This Tower building, the castle, and this, which was the original town hall. This, the exchange, they called it the exchange, so it was the town hall, as we call it today. And that wasn't blown down. And neither was the beacon in Everton, because that was brick built by the Romans. So in 1567, well, Cross got everybody around on Christmas Eve, could you imagine? And he said, don't leave. Let's build this up again. And we'll build it from stone. We will build it, because there was deaths. There was terrible injuries. But the people stayed. That's how resilient they were back then. In 1565. So by 1566, they became the first stone. Liverpool became the first stone township. And just less than a century later, which I'll pull up now, we became one of the, shall we say, victims of the Civil War. And you might wonder, well, what do you mean victims? Thing is, you see, you've got to look at this. This gives you the better outlook of, you can't see that, can you? Where you've got the beacon at the top, Everton looking down. And I'll go back. I'm going to show you something. Let me go back. It's very important, this. Let me go back to this. Right. And if you've got a clear view, what I'm going to show, you see trees here. You see a bunch of trees there. And there, a little bunch here. Now, all this land, what you can see, like brush, what you call brush. And here, right around there, all brush. Because that was a massive woods. A massive wood. So bear that in mind for what I'll say later on. Is that okay? All this. Because once once the Civil War started. And most people think that it was because of Cromwell, you know. Did you know that, you know, he became Lord Protector? But he didn't like, you know, he wasn't one of the leaders saying, oh, let's have a civil war. Well, he wasn't one of them in Parliament. So he was the MP over his own land in Huntingdon. And that's how it was. It was all these wealthy farm owners. They didn't go out with a thing, you know, tilling the land. They had workers. They were the landowners. But they still got called farmers. So anyway, there was a big rumble. And one of the reasons, really, why this war started was Marie Antoinette. And Henrietta, I'm sorry, it's getting mixed up there, but anyway, Marie Antoinette. And what she did, she was French, she was Catholic, she was married to Charles I. Now, don't forget the Reformation that went on and on and on and on and on. You even had the likes of Mary Queen of Scots, you know, being beheaded because she was Catholic. And they were terrified just in case she took the throne from Elizabeth. And even her son, James VI of Scotland, he more or less renounced his own mother. Think about that. Just to get power. So he became king of England, James I. Horrible man. But when you get the likes of Cromwell, and every Thursday they always went up. Every time they went up to see the king or queen or whoever they were going to see, a deputation, what they seen, you see, priests, you've got to understand that priests at the time were killed left, right, and centre. Left, right, and centre, these people, you know, for the faith. And they didn't want anyone having a Catholic service. It was terrible what was going on at the time. And it's hardly it is in the history books, but it doesn't give you the full volume of what was going on. Because the likes of these priests, anyone could go out and see see a priest, go over and kill him and get a reward. That's what it was like. Anyone who was having a service, a Catholic service, you know, because you did have little snidey people looking out for rewards. And those rewards were given out by the government if they said a mass went on in there, a service went on in there. And it was shocking what was happening. They were executed. And if you were a Catholic and you had children, your children had to go to the school that gave out the protest doctrine. You know, the protest against Rome. The protest doctrine. And if you didn't send them, your life was in jeopardy. Your life. besides a big fine, then that was the India. And this is what was going on. So in 1642, after seeing Mary Henrietta kneeling down during a mass, only her and the priest, but what they did see was Charles. He was just standing there. And they said, this is no good. This country could become Catholic again. And that always rankles with Cromwell. Always rankles with him. Because what was he? He was a Puritan. He was a Puritan. And if you ever read The Crucible by Arthur Miller, you'll see what it was like in the day, 1692 in America, the Salem witch hunt and the Salem trials. Horrible. Puritanism. I'm not digressing because we actually kicked out a Pastor Ma from a church here in Liverpool, still there, the Asians Chapel of Toxteth. We actually kicked him out. He was horrible. He was a Puritan. So he died. F you. So he went over to America. That's where he ended up. And his two grandsons, believe it or not, they had mad names. One was called Cotton, and the other fellow was called Increase. And they opened up, I couldn't believe this, they opened up Harvard University. And the other great university. And I want you to tell me what's the next university that fits alongside Harvard in America. See what he's up being saying. Oh, Myra. I was very sick this week, but recovering. Oh, Myra, so sorry, sweetheart. I hope you're okay. Oh, Myra. You'll be all right. Strong-willed, you see. Strong-willed you are, Myra. Even Cedric. Right. And Janet. Hello to you all. Hello, Janet. We're doing history tonight, Janet. We're not doing football or anything. We're not talking Shakespeare yet. And Janet says, Prince Rupert, nephew of Charles I, was a pretty interesting character too. Of course he was. Talking about him in a minute. First trip to Liverpool in 1990, became aware of priest holes during a visit to Speak Hall. They had them all over the country. That's where they used to hide them. You know, before the service and after the service, then smuggle them out. But they was terrible, horrible people who were just, that's what you call pursuivants. They were a government agents. And I put them in the class, believe it or not, of the Nazis during the 30s. When they used to go around looking for Jews and Jewish shops to burn their books. And Janet says, has anyone else been to Versailles and visited Marie Antoinette village? No. I nearly went. When I was over there in Paris, but everyone wanted to stay in bloody Paris. Unfortunately, then I was over there. Been over to France a few times, but I always brought my students over to see the World War One graves. Bloody hell, Dennis, lots of years. And Janet says there are holes and tunnels leading from Prescott, Lancashire, throughout what we call Merseyside. Yeah. Good shout that, actually, Janet. Janet visited Bayan Kazana, where the shop was in the film Chocolat was filmed. Chocolat. It's a good film. I forget it now. He was in it. I forget the actress. Forget it. Lovely, beautiful. Phil says Berkeley. No, not Berkeley. The poet. Yale, yeah. Yale. Two of his grandsons. Incredible, isn't it? Harvard and Yale. Get in there, poet. But Berkeley, Phil, that's an unbelievable. That they all are. Any university. And John said, Phil, I would say Princeton. I visited. It's funny how you say Princeton, isn't it, rather than Princetown. LFC are in a pickle. That's Shakespeare. Says Peter. I'm definitely going to kick someone's head in. Princeton. And Dennis the Paparak. Could call that poet. Coming from an American. Dennis lives in a place called, in Tampa, and his street is called Alligator's Alley. Alligator's Alley. There's just fucking loads of alligators roaming around, biting you. And Phil, to Janet, I visited Harvard and Berkeley, says Phil. There you go. Yeah, Phil was telling me, actually. Let them eat cake. No, she never said that. Who said that? And that was a lie. That was a lie, though. By Robespierre. At the girl's trial. Because all that she said to the servants when she said it was after the day after the feast. And she said, can you take that down and give it to the poor? And it was all cake. And the way he spun it, let them eat. She said, let them eat cake. Marie Antoinette. And she never said it. She wanted to give it to them. But the way it was spun, as I said, at a trial was shocking. Because these people couldn't afford a loaf. I tell you another nation that couldn't afford to love. Here, this nation. Do you know that? Because who owns all these places? Workers couldn't afford to love the working classes in this country because it was so expensive. And Peter says Yale was a dude whose family emigrated from Wrexham. I'll just explain that, Peter. I'm not from Wrexham, but the granddad who we threw out the ancient school, the ancient chapel of Tuxton. He's buried in Wrexham, Mr. Yale College chap. Are you sure? Are you sure? And Dennis says that, well, Berkeley is a renowned music school. Yeah, very good sign when I visited many years ago. Brioche, love that. I love brioche. Love it. And Poet says, isn't there 7 or 8 Ivy League universities? Brown University is another one, Georgetown, MIT, Penn State might be in any league uni too. Oh, Juliette Binoche, that's it. I thought you meant that, but no, loved it. You know, when I go to Sainsbury's, I always get that Cisco Binoche, isn't it? Juliette Binoche, thank you. Thank you, Cedric. Chocolat. And Dennis of the Poets, it's Penn, founded by Ben Franklin in Philadelphia. Penn State was founded later in the Western. Part of Penn. Cheers then. What about the potato famine, Frank? In Ireland's 18. There was more than one. There was one in there, 1566, 1727, 1729, 1740, 1800, and 1845. What one? I know I wasn't being facetious, you know, but because people don't realise, they just thought that there was only one, and that was in 1845. Berkeley is famous for its 60s sit-ins, says the poet. Oh. Ellie Yale is buried in St. Giles Church, Wrexham. Very good. Very good. Need to run an errand at the bank. We'll catch you on the replay. Ciao, says Dennis the Paparak. He's good, Dennis, isn't he? And Natasha. Barcola to live. I'm going to kick your head in, Natasha. This is a history show. Come on tomorrow. And Stephen, good evening, Frank and the main man and chatters. Hope everyone is all well. Peace. And Dennis says to poet, the sit-in where University of California Berkeley campus mate that ran Warner Brothers Records in Nashville sent his two sons to Berkeley in Boston for music. FSG. The 1840s Famine Act, like ancient Rome in my family, says poet. Family say, in the sense that all roads lead there. And Peter says, the thing with history is you have to do some digging yourself, don't you? Yeah. History being, oh, fuck, what's going on? You can't see that, you see. I can. The thing with history, you have to do some digging yourself, don't you? History being written by victors and all that. Yes. Yes. That's why, if you follow a narrative, I used to have a book that thick, and it was a very long book. And it was about the First World War. And it was written by a Swiss general. And it was one of the best you could ever read because he took no sides. And he's saying about the Allies and the Germans, giving a factual overview. Brilliant it was. I lent it out, never got it back. Ali, good evening. Hiya, Ali. Cheers again, Jen. I say Burnham was with, was he? Fuck Burnham. And Zelensky. And Ali. How are you, boys? All good. Hope you're all well. Yes. Thank you. I'm gonna I'll be talking about this in a moment. Whilst in New York, I stayed at Hillsborough with my son and then his wife. Me and Cara and her daughter visited a town called Hope, Pennsylvania. Go away. Hope. I think that's nice. I think whoever, named it, it must have been decent people who said, let's try and have some hope. That's how things are named. And Phil says, Frank, we visited Chateau de Chambord. Absolutely amazing. But I said to my wife, I'm not surprised the French had revolutions. kings spent all the money on crazy chateaus. And you've only got to look at Versailles, haven't you? Mr. B, have a nice evening, guys and ladies. He's going. It's not football, he said. Join us tomorrow for football. Phil. And the poet says, must admit, I love this Liverpool stuff. We're not all guys, Ali. There you go. When he said, all right, guys. And poets. Frank, is the Cross Keys boozer named after that early church, Mary of the Cross Keys? Brilliant. Well done, you. Well done. That's where it was named, you know. I didn't live far from there, but I was brought up around, you know, the area where you're talking about. Poet. Scottish Bear. Frank and chat. Remember the Scottish Bear? That's Scottish Bear. It's Sicily tonight. It's not football. Great to see you, though, man. Remember he was bad. Look at him, made us come back. You can't keep a good man down, can you? The Scottish Bear. Oh, power to you, man. Honestly, power to you, Bear. Made up to see you. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for dropping in. Absolutely amazing. And the alley to Jeanette. Sorry, my lady. Look, I'll have to carry on with me yesterday, you lot. But I've just got to read this. Stephen Cocker, and he's spotted on its business as per usual under Burnham. So no change after Keir Starmer. The sausage, Keir Starmer, the sausage. So same old crap with this Labour government. It'll be any government. You can put anybody in. It'll be the same. What are the Cross Keys anyway, says the poet. It was the church. It was the church. It's like, I just wish that I had the strength to bring it to down to Liverpool and show you something. And you see the Cross Keys. Keys to the church. I wish I could do it. Maybe after me up next month, Maybe after me up, I'll bring you all down. I'll say, yeah, there's the Cross Keys there. In stone. There. Hit the button. Hit the like button for Frank. Thank you, Bear. Fuck me. Great to see you. Great to see you. Yeah, St. Peter's. Yeah. Listen, I'm going to carry on with that. I've really got to carry on with me history. My son has a boxing tournament priorities. Go ahead, Mr. B. Good luck to you, lad. The old stadium was near there. It was. Bixett Street. And did you realise that it was the very first boxing stadium in the country, purpose-built? Did you know that? Well, you know now. If you didn't, mate. I hope he does well, Mr. B. Let us know how he gets on tomorrow. No worries, Ali. Christopher. Hi, Frank and everyone. Like and subscribe. And Mr. B. I've been glued to the screen, enjoying the knowledge. I've got to talk. I've really got to talk about it. See, this particular picture, it's when the Royalists were sneaking up on Liverpool. And you see a picture of a Roundhead, a parliamentarian, because in 1642 you had the people in Parliament just saying, okay, this has got to be settled on a battlefield. He said, okay. And you've got to ask, well, how come Liverpool? Liverpool was, it hardly gets mentioned, yet it was pivotal for Charles I. And we have four major families here. We had the Molyneux, the Stanleys, the Norrises, and the Moores. And the Moores were ironclad parliamentarians. And the elder Castle, the elder. So when the elder this castle here on the right, the other family said, we've got to take this away. We have to take this away. They were all the royalists, you see, the Norrises, the Stanleys, and the Molyneux. They were all confirmed royalists, so they said, let's go. And who came up to Liverpool, who got them, was this fella here. Let me take this out and let me put him up. And that's Rupert, that's Prince Rupert. And he came up, but he came up through Runcorn, what we know today. Hale, he came through there. And he came to Liverpool. I've got to put on the map again, which I showed before. And remember when I said about the trees? Let me put this up again, please. Nope. I'm sorry. Let me put it up. Where am I? I can't see because I've got that fucking camera there. Can't see, you know. I really can't see it. Yeah, right. Let me put that up. Right, so over here, this is where, right at the top by the beacon, this is where Rupert came, and this is where he had his army. He had his army there. But what he couldn't see the castle. And anyone who knows Liverpool, a little bit about Liverpool, he couldn't see the castle there from there. Down there, he couldn't view it. because of all the trees here. So what he did, he went right along here to about there. And anyone who knows where Lower Hill is in Liverpool, it's by the hospital, it's by the Royal Hospital now. And he could view, because there was no trees, and he could view the castle. He could view the castle there. And what he did was, and it was brilliant tactics by Rupert, he used a three-pronged attack. You've heard of battles won and lost in a day, right? Battles are won and lost in a day. And that comes from, they just went home when it went dark. But they never went home, like they just stayed, got their heads down till the next morning. And some went home, others, they just said, I've had enough of this, I'm going home. And that's how some battles were won like that, because when they woke up the next day and they said there was no one there. There was only a few stragglers. And that's how it was won, the battle. So you never had a real battle the next day. It's when they say, oh, they won the battle. They didn't, because half of them went home. But anyway, Rupert came up. He came up. He viewed the castle from here. He did a three-pronged attack. And he said, we'll have these. We'll have these. That's no problem. So the three-pronged attack came here, down there, down here, and believe it or not, down here, where they went right through here. Right, so they went right through, met up with these fellas here who came down, and met up with the fellas who came from this way. And the battle commenced. They really had to go, the Liverpool lads, they really had to go at this mighty army. That's what it was. It was a mighty army with guns and cannons and everything that you could aim at the castle was aimed at it. Cannonballs, you name it. And they held out. And it took Rupert 18 days to overcome the castle. 18 days. And there was 360 Liverpool citizens killed, old and out. Old and out. But as I said about Liverpool being resilient, I always have been, even through that storm, 100 years later, by staying and building the actual stone township from stone, the town from stone, and it became the first stone township in the country. That's how resilient they are. Always have been. Even there between 1348 and 58, there was plague. And we had 1,000 citizens at the time. And it killed 500. Yet the other 500 stayed. They didn't move. Again, it's resilience. Always have been resilient. So after 18 days, and this is where it was pivotal, Liverpool never ever gets mentioned with this. Rupert lost 2,000 men. 2,000. And they had to make the way to the next big battle. Marston Moor. They had to go to Marston Moor. And they went to Marston Moor. To take part in a massive, massive battle. And I'm talking about a massive battle. The Battle of Marston Moor. And when Rupert's lads got there, the unfortunate thing was that these were all bloodied. They were knackered. Absolutely knackered they were. And bloodied. And what it did, it gave the parliamentarians a lift when they seen them coming to take part in the battle for the Royalists. And that's where they were defeated, the Royalists. And it was from Marston Moor, after the Battle of Liverpool, that Charles I took off to Scotland. Because he said, you'll have to take off and get to Scotland and you'll be all right and come back when everything is settled down. And he even said to him, you're the anointed one. You won't be executed or anything. You won't even be put on trial. That's what he said to Charles. You won't be put on trial. So he went to Scotland. And when he did come back, he was put on trial for treason. But you've got to ask yourself, what was the treason? Was that because he married a Catholic? Don't forget that Henry VIII, who started all this protest from Rome, protest. And then he took away everything from Catholics. He died a Catholic. And so did James I, who congratulated Elizabeth on the execution of his own mother, simply because he wanted power and he renounced his faith. But he died a Catholic after renouncing it. Charles I, when he had his head lopped off, he died a Catholic. And so did Charles II. When the constitution of the monarchy was reinstated in 1660. So what was Cromwell like? Cromwell was a dog. He was a dog. He wanted everything Puritan. And have a guess where he wanted to commit genocide? Ireland. He went over to Ireland in order to commit genocide. Which was shocking. It was funny, because when they took the castle in June 1642, the Royalists, 1644, I'm sorry, not 42, that's when it started, the Civil War. In the November, that was in the June they took it. But by November, again, resilience by the early Scousers. That's what happened. So they charged the castle. Charged it. Gets in there. And they had the royal seal, King John's royal seal, which was a shame, really, because when he gets in there, in the town hall, when he gets in the town hall, the royal seal was there. It's always been there, going back to 1207. The royal seal of King John, which was the eagle of St. John. That was his symbol and his seal. And this little fella smashed it up. So by the time the Constitution, as I mentioned, of Charles II was reformed and he was put back on the throne, he needed a royal seal, the original seal from King John. And they said, any engravers? And someone must have just said, yeah, I'm an engraver. Well, get the eagle back on the seal. You're all right, boss. Can you imagine the fella saying, because it was hand-to-mouth those days. And what came out? A cormorant. He didn't know what a seal looked like, an eagle looked like. There wasn't many flying around Liverpool. So he said, and it came out like a cormorant. But it's still the eagle of King John. That's our royal seal. So that was the, as I said, one of the most notorious people was Cromwell himself, wanted to commit genocide. And you've got to understand that he couldn't do it. He came back, he said, too many of them, too many Irish. And there was a fella by the name of General Marr. And because he killed more Catholics, more Irish in Ireland, he gave them 9,000 acres in a place called Strokestown, which is still there today. 9,000 acres, all arable land, all beautiful land, grow anything. So by the time 1845 came about, his ancestor, no descendant, I'm sorry, his descendant, Major John Rossman, still held the farm. But he wanted to get rid of the tenants. He wanted to rid of them. And he tried to get rid of them for years. And who were the tenants, the rightful owners to the land? Families from when it was taken off them by the English and given to this fella, Marr. And they were just working the land. They had their own little plot that grew their food. Did you know that the Irish, might shock you there, weren't allowed to eat meat? They weren't allowed, not by the English. But they only ate potatoes, besides veg and whatever, but they weren't allowed to eat meat. But they were all, potatoes, you become sturdy with them. So by the time 1844 came about, and the the imports from America, the potatoes, that's where the Irish first got the potatoes from America. So the time 1844 came about, there was bad batches of potatoes that went into the home counties here. But you didn't know that they were bad batches. And also the northern, the likes of Normandy and Belgium and Holland. So they planted the potatoes. 1845 comes, and it's what's known as the potato blight. But it was more prevalent in Ireland. And it happens in Strokestown. So you've got to ask yourself, how come it just went, why was it in the home counties in northern France and, Europe and the coast there, to Holland and Belgium? How did it get to Ireland? Simply because the likes of Major John Rossman, he imported them and put them in his Strokestown because he found out that they were a bad batch. And that was it. It became the potato famine. But as George Bernard Shaw said, how could there be a famine when the country was full of food? And he was right. He was right. And it was the great march of the Irish towards the coast. They'd had enough. People were starving. And also, potatoes were still being exported, good potatoes, by the way, to England. And that was the way to get rid of the Irish, especially Irish Catholics. And that was the unfortunate thing. And if they tried to rob trying to forage food off the ships that was being put on board, they were shot dead. Shot dead. Officially, there was 750,000 people died in 1845 through the famine. It came out in 1845, the famine. It came out in 1851 that there was over 750,000 people had died. That was the official. The unofficial toll was more like 3 million. Think about that. 3 million people dying, starvation, being shot. If they dare to try and feed themselves. That's the nastiness of wars, especially civil wars. That's why you've got to look over at America and their civil war. That was shocking as well. I'm having a drink of water, people. Let's see what he's been saying. And Peter says, the keys to the kingdom of heaven given to St. Peter, representing spiritual power and authority in Christian tradition. Absolutely. Kingdom of heaven, you see. But they had wars and things like that because of uh, the Christian values. You've only got to look at the Crusades, the ethnic cleansing. And Ali says, if I have a power to go back in time, I will go 500 years in Romania. Since I was a kid, I wanted that. I loved the simple life that those people had before. The simple, I fully understand what you're saying, Ali, but the simple life wasn't as simple as people think. One of the greatest of all quotes came from Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who went around the villages and little towns of France, and he said, "Man is born free, however, he is everywhere in chains," and we are. You've only got to look today. We've still got shackles around us. We can't do what we really want to do. And what is it today? Freedom of speech. You can't mention certain countries. You can't mention what's going on, and you could end up in jail. Man is born free, however, he is everywhere in chains. Am I right? Mr. B. Next, Yusuf. Who's he? Buonasera, Franco. Has that fella been blocked? He's blocked someone. And Stephen Clark, have to let us know when you're hospital bound so we can visit you, Frank. Through your operation, fingers crossed, it's successful, mate. Thank you so much, Stephen. I'm at the going for some results tomorrow. Mr. B, says Phil. Brothers have a good podcast. Cedric, nice to see you, says the bear. Mate, he's up to see you. Thanks all. He's about gone now, haven't you? And you. Phil, they are brilliant. Very scouse hilarious. Oh, Bella. Hey, everyone. Hope you're all well. Hey, Bella. Lovely. Hey, Bella. Never walk alone. Hi, Ali. Frank was Norris. Yeah, they owned the land, the Norris family. And you know what? Right up to the 20th century, no pubs could be built on there. So the residents, they couldn't have a bevy. You can have a bevy now, like, but you couldn't. And that's in the 20th century. So you're right there, Phil. The Norris family. Hi, Stephen. And Stephen says, let Frank continue with his history on Liverpool, which is good to listen to. So, thanks again. Thanks for tonight again, Frank. Thank you. I know this ain't about football tonight yet. I'm sure we can bring footy and history together by saying, rest in peace, King Kenny. He's not dead, is he? I hope he's not dead, to be honest, because I haven't heard there's anything. And the poet says, I didn't know it was the first purpose-built boxing stadium, Frank. Wasn't there a stadium? Not a purpose-built one, by the Odeon, Pudsey Street. Yeah, my Uncle Dom used to fight there. But it wasn't wasn't, this was built as a first purpose-built in the whole of the country, in Bigstead Street. That was just like it wasn't a proper boxing stadium, but that's, my great uncle Tom used to fight there. I'm glad you questioned that, poet. Glad you questioned that. Frightened me, that. Prince Rupert is in Prince Rupert's Drop, the exploding glass experiment, says Peter. Stephen, oh, God bells, thanks. So hope you will. Thank you. Siege warfare, Peter, yes. Peter says, just read Prince Rupert was a polymath, planet-sized brain. Well, he was the Roop, could speak several languages clearly. The old Roop. What was the treason? What was the treason? The reason? What was the treason? What was the reason? Is that for Charles the First? Is that what you're talking about? Because if it is, it's that he was married to Marie Antoinette and Henrietta. Sorry, I keep fucking Henrietta, because she was Catholic, and they were terrified in case he turned the country Catholic again. That's why they got, you say, look. You had, after Henry's death, you had little Edward, didn't you? And he was a sickly boy. And who did you have next? Right? And she was supposed to be a sickly woman. And she was known as Bloody Mary, wasn't she? And they spun that by going up to her saying, listen here, that group of people over there, you know, you got to sign their death warrants. And she was signing them. And she became known, the nickname, you know, Bloody Mary, because of all these executions that she was signing up. But she was getting all that because the people who were giving her all that in the ear, they just wanted her gone. And they thought that the people had rise to get rid of her. And it nearly succeeded, but unfortunately she died. I think she was 42, I think she was. But anyway, she died. And they reckon that, look, I think it was Franco's, or was it Franco? Or someone said that it's written by the victors. Was it Peter? Someone said it, and he's always right. You know, whoever said it anyway is right, written by the victors. But a hell of a lot of spin goes on people who write. A hell of a lot. And was Mary that ill? Bloody Mary, that is. That she just died. And called her sickly. That's what you've got to look at. And what would I get called? Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. No. It's just that they wanted her out the way. Because she wanted to turn back to Catholicism. And anyone who goes like bang, gone. You've only got to look at Viktor Orban of Hungary. They got rid of him, the EU, because he wouldn't give Zelensky anything. You've only got to look at Georgescu, who was going to win the election in Romania, because he didn't want to give money to Zelensky. And they cancelled the election. What the fuck was that all about? Cancelled the election. Then there was another fella named Simone. He says, yeah, I'm carrying on with the same thing. We're not giving Zelensky any money. And there was no chance of him being defeated. Yet he was defeated. How? You see, so they're putting puppets in everywhere. And that's what it was like going back to us. It's what it was like. You know, as Ali said before, I would have loved to live the simpler times. No simple times. No simple times. Back in the day. It was shocking. Remember Blake's poem? I wander through each chartered street near where the chartered Thames does flow. And every man's face I meet, marks of weakness, marks of woe. Everyone is walking around fucking miserable because of the state. The state had them like that. It was, you know, because you had these paedophiles. There's always been paedophiles in carriages going around, seeing young girls and having their way with them, and they give them, you know, whatever, young kids. And he even mentions them, doesn't he, Blake? the harlot's curse, the infant's blasts of fear. The infant, she's got a baby. She's only about 12. And the fella climbs into the marriage hearse. So he goes home with whatever he's caught and gives it to his wife. The disease. Horrible. That's why he calls it the marriage hearse. The carriage to bring him back home. Wasn't easy in those days. When he got to look at Scrooge. Frank, hang on. I'm sorry there. And Phil. Frank Liverpool is rarely mentioned in that part of history. Never heard any of this at school. No, you wouldn't, Phil. No. It was the downfall. Liverpool, the defeat at Liverpool. Well, when he wasn't defeated, Rupert. But when they got to Marston Moor, they were all bedraggled. They were bloodied. They used up all the gunpowder, by the way. Never mentioned that. So they had none. And it gave the parliamentarians a big lift. They went, look at this lot. They're going to do nothing. And that's when they were defeated at Marston Moor, just outside York. Don't forget they had to walk as well, you know. The likes of Rupert didn't. He was on a horse and carriage, you know. They were okay. They had plenty of rest. But the poor men had to walk hundreds of miles, carrying the pikes. That's all he had. Phil, Cromwell Island. Yeah. Wanted to commit genocide. I wanted to get rid of the lot. Horrible. And Janet says, you know your history, Frank. I could never remember dates. That's why I didn't take history at O level. And Nick O'Bay, Frankie boy, fancy a pint down the Coburg. I can't drink, of course. I can't walk. Nico, can't walk, mate. And I'm waiting for an operation next month, so maybe if we get okay, I'll take you up on it. Take you up on that, Nico. And Peter. The potato blight in Ireland sounds like how they tried to get rid of the Red India. Of course, great, brilliant. It's the way it's been. It's, you know, I just mentioned, because I think someone mentioned it, I think it was Janet, just mentioned about the potato farmer. And 1847, we had the influx of the Irish. I've given them many a lecture about it, you know, when I've been speaking about the Irish. And when they came here, the Irish, don't forget they were on boats for their days. And these were people who were escaping the English. And when they landed in Liverpool and they heard them speaking English, they really thought that they landed in America. They didn't want to fucking stay with the English. So anyway, when they came over, you know, after a while, they said, well, where are they staying? So they all moved to a place where the church was. Because in 1830, don't forget, this is 1847 now, with the influx. In 1830, it was the emancipation in this country of Catholics. So they could build a church with a steeple if they wanted. And St. Oswald's up there in Old Swan at the very first church built with a steeple. Built with a steeple. And they were all made up. Because Welby Pugin, the architect, he was a beaut. He became a Catholic when the emancipation started. Because he was an architect. And he said, I'll get loads of work here. And he did. Built hundreds of churches. 16 cathedrals he built. Welby Pugin. So, you know, they were asking him, get up here. So he came up. And he said, we want a church built here. He said, do you want a steeple? And he went, yeah. So he built a steeple. It's still there today, St. Oswald's in Old Swan. So it became the very first Catholic church to have a steeple in the north of England. Great Pugin. We've got a street named Pugin Street here. And I bet you everyone in that street hasn't a clue who Pugin was and what he was famous for. But Peter, the Indians, it was shocking, mate. The indigenous, they still live on reservations today. The indigenous. Watch a film. It's a cracking film. It's called Wind River with Jeremy Renner. Watch it. True story. Watch it. Wind River. Modern day, it's not about cowboys and Indians or anything, but watch it. And it's about a reservation. And Linda says, unreal about the potatoes. As the potato famine, yeah. They were starved. And potatoes were actually being exported into England. It was only in Strokestown, but then they weren't allowed to fucking eat anything. Neil Purcell, hiya Neil. Hi Frank and chat. Being on the famine ship, the Dunbrody at New Ross, terrible things happened. Farmers thrown off their land. Of course they were. But they were thrown off the land, not just by then. They were thrown off the land in 1566. No, they weren't. Yeah, 1566 by Sir Humphrey Gilbert. When he went over and he used Ireland as a stepping stone to get to America. And he was the half-brother of Sir Walter Raleigh. And they were fucking thrown off then. He went over in order to cause famine, to scorch the land, because all as he wanted to see was how the native of their land would react to the likes of the English getting over there and saying, this is ours now, okay. And that's why you've had the Troubles ever since. That's why you've had them. That's why they had an army And it was a legitimate army, legitimate, called the Irish Republican Army. And then Thatcher, with all of her wisdom, went like that. They're a terrorist group, so they became known as terrorists, the IRA. Simple as that. But they were thrown off the land then. They were thrown off the land by Cromwell. It was shocking what was happening all over Ireland. If you look at a map of 1845, say, 1845, you see Ireland as Ireland. I used to, I think I have still got them, but I'm not going to look for them, unfortunately. You see Ireland of 1845. I'll just a picture, with where the place is named. And in 1846, you see another picture. But that picture has all these spots, all right through Ireland. And they so quickly put up in 1846 workhouses. They had none in Ireland. None. 1846, they had them all up because of the movement of the Irish getting lashed off the land. Neil, I won't be able to find them on. It's terrible, me trying to find stuff nowadays. I was looking ages for something. Show you. It just shows you this. And I came by chance. Where is it? Just by pure, unadulterated chance. Where is it? I can't fucking read it. Can't read it. Oh. Can't read it. Look for it. Can't find it. I thought I had it here. I haven't. But it's just mad things that I keep picking up, and when I'm looking for something. I picked up an old ration book, and it's in my living room. A ration book. And I picked up this. Look at the envelope. Look at the state of that. That's an envelope. And doodles on it. And I keep meaning to ask Francine to go on a site where, we were brought up. We were brought up. And this is, a certificate of the coronation of their Majesties King George the Sixth and Queen Elizabeth. And it was given to a lad who went to my old school. Bishop Goss. As I said, there's the envelope. And the family, someone must know the family. And I want to give it to them. How I came across it, I haven't a clue. For the envelope. It's great, isn't it? So it's things like that, and I do have them. I really have them about Ireland, 1845, 1846, and the workhouses. They didn't want to be in workhouses. We didn't want to be in workhouses. I'll tell you loads of things about our biggest workhouse in the country. Was here in Liverpool, Brownlow Hill. When I heard me about that, I gave a talk. I tell you, he was my fellow presenter. Believe it or not, was Dr. David Owen, he's a lord now, isn't he? He was Labour Foreign Secretary, actually. Anyway, he was talking about ailments of prime ministers. That was his talk. And it was funny as well. So I get up and I'm giving this talk. And these are 240 Royal College of Art surgeons. And I always remember this fella coming over to me, full uniform, medals here. And he shook my hands. He says, "You've just broken down the barriers of snobbery." I said, "Thank you." Because I was talking about the workhouse and the experiments that they did where I was giving this talk. Because persona was actually, going missing. People at the workhouse, they never came back. They were fucking being dragged in there and experimented on. Had a laugh though. And there was a body snatcher there as well. In Oak Street. Big body snatcher. Birkenhead went. This fella came down from Scotland and was doing the work of Birkenhead and pickling the bodies and sending them up to Edinburgh via Glasgow, because they had to go by ship, you see. And Peter says, 100 or so Union spies in Liverpool for the American Civil War. Yes. Yes, because you had the Confederate consulate, 19 Abercrombie Square. I brought people in there, loads. Brought Americans in. I used to tell the story of a fellow by the name of Julius Brutus Booth, a great Liverpool actor. A great Liverpool actor. Julius Brutus Booth. And anyway, I used to go around the town, the other Julius. Hello, my public, my friends, I do adore you. This is all like very flowery acting. But he always played the bard. Hamlet, Othello, and you name it, he was playing it. Macbeth, everyone. And everyone loved him. So anyway, this time, the theatre fellow who owned the theatre said, "Listen, Julius, my lad's written a play." And he went, "Oh yeah." He said, "I want you to do it." And anyway, he read the script and he said, "I can't do that. It's shocking." He said, "You've got to do it. If you don't do it, you're gone. You're gone." Now, don't forget, the public loved them. As I said, doing the likes of Macbeth, Hamlet. Whether to be nobler in the minds and suffer the arrows of outrageous fortune, all that. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and has heard no more, all that. They loved it. Big cheers and everything, bouquets of flowers thrown at him at the end. So he did this play. And he was booed off the stage. And he had to do it for the week. So the first night, just booing. The second night, tomatoes and cabbage leaves and everything were getting lashed at him. And then he just stood at the stage and he said, "My dear friends, I am heartbroken. My heart is broken deeply. I, Julius Brutus Boone, shall leave these great shores and this great city and find my way over the Atlantic to the New World. But I still praise you. Goodbye and farewell, beautiful people." So he went over to it. He went over to America. And guess what? Have you ever heard of John Wilkes Booth? What did he do? It's great, isn't it? Well, you're right about the Union spies here. Infuriating to think my ancestors had all that happened to them. The upper classes have always been horrible. So-and-so, says the poet. Still are. Still are. Still are. And Phil says, in England, they took the land. Enclosure Act 1773. In 1786, there were still 250,000 independent landowners. But in the course of only 30 years, their number was reduced to 32,000. Yes, land grabs still happening today. It really is. There's a war going on in Ukraine, as you know, Phil. What do the Americans want? What did you think that? You think that they're just helping Ukraine? Well, Ukraine's finished anyway. But you think that they're helping? No, they want the fucking land. They want all these rich earth. But the unfortunate thing is that the Russians have got it. There's no fucking way that they're letting it. Well, anyway, they're not. It'll be ended sooner rather than later. So this is what you have. Land grab all the time. You've only got to look at Maduro in a New York jail. Who's on trial now. Maduro, the president of Venezuela, last week, this is a new week, only last week, what did Trump say? We've got the Venezuelan oil. Think about that. Do you think for one fucking minute that they just want Iran to give in? They want their oil. That's what they want. Like everyone else is, they want all the oil. They want all this rich earth. I forget what you call this earth that the Chinese have. And they can't make weapons without it. So the Chinese have got them like that. Oh, well, you don't get that then. And they're putting out fucking tariffs. He's putting out tariffs on everyone. But the EU, they're pathetically, just pathetic. Don't want to get into them. It's always been a land grab. Phil. Great quote. Franco, do you mean about man is born free, however, he is everywhere in chains? One of my faves. And Janet says, has anyone visited Kong, West Island, where The Quiet Man was filmed? No. Suppose you have though, haven't you, Janet? And LFC to hiya LFC, Mart, hiya mate. My friend, loving your run through the Civil War, except my health has been a bit hit and miss. And see yours is too. Wishing you well. Oh, and you too. You'll never walk alone. You too. I didn't know that, LFC, mate. Oh, fuck. There are so many, you know. I know it's age and that, but I fucking broke my neck and this is the way I am. I just hope this operation is okay. But the downside of it is, because it's on my spine, I could come out a paraplegic. So you'll never see me again. If everything goes wrong, but I've got to get it done. So sorry, Frank. And to say, oh yeah, Kevin. Yeah, don't be worrying, Janet. It was just a shock to us. And that's Mr. Beagle. Oh, Kenny. And Mr. B, nothing about it. She's apologised, Mr. B. And his eyes have a spelling mistake. It's a typo. Oh, fucking hell. Fuzzy. I'm all right. I'm doing a podcast at the moment. Not a football one. Not a football. Do you want to go on? I'll be finished. Give me a ring if you're still up in half an hour. Or are you? Okay. Have you got anything to say to me? Okay. All right, mate. See you later, Fozzie. Bye-bye. Bye. Janet, I should leave. No, behave yourself. Because there's Phil laughing his head off at you. Peter said. They did the old slander trick to cope. I know. That man, even if you didn't like him, he was never anti-Semitic. He was never a racist. He was never anything. This is to get people in puppets. Honestly. And Phil says the lease on a number 10 North was taken out before Burnham won his seat in Parliament. Shocking what they did. Why didn't he have a fight? He's a puppet, you see. He's just going to carry on. And he's a fucking Scouser. And an Evertonian. I know it's not football tonight. Gutted to hear King Ken. No, he hasn't, Mike. Mike, it was a mistake by Janet. It was a mistake. She meant to say King Kenny. King Kevin. Kevin Keegan. And Phil says, it's spreading. Seat. Corruption is terrible. Never mind past issues. We can't feed our own. look after elderly, but will help a certain nation in fraudulent war. Absolutely. And yet they know that they're the most corrupt. They're the most corrupt. Corrupt leader, everything. I follow it all every day. Fuck. Have you heard of Carlyle, the pirate queen of the Western Island, who challenged Elizabeth I? No, I'm sorry. Elizabeth I was a fella, by the way. I'm telling you now, she was a fucking man. And the woodmaster, hello, Frank and chat. And Cedric, well done, Dennis. My wife had cancer the day she got all the clear. I got stung by 3 wasps coming out of the Aussie. I'm watching about an hour behind. She got the all clear. That's a crack, and that he got stung by 3 wasps. You can't make this up, can you? Can you make it up? No. Script writers. Like Zelensky. Script booking writer. And Ali Franco, an Italian journalist, found an entire network based in Cyprus, Romania, and Ukraine. The main men there are Romanian Secret Service leaders and Zelensky money washing network. Of course it is. It's all going into his bank that he bought. Zelensky bought a bank in France. Oh, Chris, night, Frank and everyone, up the history debts. Says Christopher. Thanks, Christopher. And Ali. And they bribe police and anti-corruption services every month with around 150k euros to close their mouths. Unbelievable. And the same guy is leading Secret Service now. And you know what? No one asks. I'd love to fucking every journalist. No one asked that Zelensky about the kill list. The kill list. No one asks about it. Gianna says, I have 5 cousins who have Red Indian descent. All now live in the northwest of England. Their dad was part Red Indian. He married my auntie Jenny. They met at Burtonwood. So he was in the Second World War then. He must have been stationed at Burtonwood. Because they brought everyone in, but gave them nothing. Blacks got nothing. Yet you don't hear of them. The Red Indians, you don't hear of them. Well, the Native American, I'm since I said Red Indian. Ray Thompson, are you, Ray? Are you, mate? Oh, I bet he's gone now. I hope all is well, Frank. I was talking to Jane in Nazar, the surfing capital of Portugal, the other week, and he ordered chips. And I said to him, is your name Fritz? I thought it was funny. Did you ever Dad's Army? And the Germans, when they caught the Germans off a U-boat. And the German was going around and he wanted chips and fish. And he said, and I want them soggy. One of them just looked at me. And when the German went around and he said, I want to take all your names. What is your name? And Mannerin, just shouts up on, don't tell him, Pike. The funniest line ever in any comedy. Don't tell him, Pike. Love it. Love it. Phil, Columbus thought he had sailed around the world and landed in, hence the West Indies. He called the Native Americans Indians, and that's why he thought he got to the West India, little islands. Maggie Young. Hi, Frank. Hope you're well. Hiya, Maggie. And Janet. Does anyone remember the song Paul McCartney? Yeah. They were very. You've only got to look at Lennon was anti-establishment, and that's why he gave his MBE was it back. Very anti-established. So was McCartney. All right, he got a nice one. But yet give Ireland back to Ireland. Are you sure, Frank? Rainhill Hospital was originally a workhouse. What do you mean? Am I sure? I don't know what you mean by that. To be honest, Janet, I'm sorry. I don't know. My fifth generation says late Thomas, great-grandfather John, his wife Agnes, and little Aaron left Glasgow in 1846 for Liverpool. Obviously, they probably thought they were fleeing the famine nightmare that was unfolding in and not realising Liverpool was the same. Yeah. People think that, it was all right living. It was fucking shocking. Shocking. This country. Good shout, that. Good shout, Ray. Ray lives in Portugal, by the way. All records of people who were in Rainhill Workhouse were destroyed on a large bonfire when the hospital closed, says Janet. There was loads, even in Rainhill. Not Rainhill, I'm sorry. Even in Brownlow Hill. One of the greatest things ever. I don't think it was great, but, when you look at the history and the technology and everything on the site of the workhouse after it closed and Liverpool University bought it, and Sir James Chadwick, was a Liverpool lecturer. And he split the atom on it. That's why the Manhattan Project, led by Oppenheimer, sent for him. Because they said we can't fucking split the atom. So some fella in Liverpool can. Great. And no one could get into the Manhattan Project because it was the most secretive thing ever. Ironclad. Couldn't get in. And he went over and he went, what you want to know? And he said, well, this thing. And he went, give us that, bank split it. That's how you do it, fella. Sir James Chadwick. But the American ones all say, we done that, never. Fucking never done nothing. Can't win wars, can't fucking do anything. That's Trump. Trump will tell you they won wars. Yeah, forgot about that. Strange, but possibly convenient for some, says Phil. And Peter, yep, the Abe Lincoln assassination had Liverpool connection through Julius Brutus Booth, didn't he? Yes, it was his son. How about Tony Booth? He married a Scouser. He was a Scouser. Tony Booth. Billy the Kid was fighting a land grab by the Santa Fe Trail, or the Ring. So they called him a bank robber to smear him. Yeah. Jesse James the same, Peter. Thank you, Peter. Rare earth material. Thank you, Peter. That's what China has. That's what Ukraine have, but Russia owns it. The Donbass. Why do you think that the Americans say, well, Vladimir, why don't you just go back a little and use it as a buffer zone? You heard what Putin said today, didn't you? Or yesterday, was it? He said Poland and Romania and Hungary, no matter what happens now in Ukraine, they can take their land back. Not the Soviets took off them after the Second World War, when they used it as a buffer zone. Thank you, Peter. Rare materials. Americans will always look only for money. This capitalism system was invented by them. In their eyes, nothing matters more besides money. Yes. Same country have more than 1 million homeless people. This is why. Doesn't matter how smart you are. If you don't have money, you are a nobody. I hate that. Unfortunately, we're all nobodies. And Janet says, listen to the Water Boys, we're going to Kiev, Phil. I think that was sung a few years ago, not now. Frank Tucker Carlson said people can hate Russians without being racist, as Russians are white and Christians. That's it. I think you've summed the whole lot up, Phil. Everything. You've summed it up. I get called a racist. You know, because I've said I studied for 4 years for my PhD, the slave trade. I didn't want to do it, to be honest, but a portion of my PhD. And, my professor said, just do it for me. I said, okay. And when I went through every ship coming into Liverpool, and I named them, used to have a fucking big list, 107 years naming. Not one ship came in with their slaves on board. Not one. And when people say, I said, name me one ship that came in. And the decades. Just give me the decades. You don't have to say like 1772 or anything. Just tell me the decade. And I'll look it up because I've got the fucking list. And the ship's captain. And the ship's cargo. Never hear from them again. Because they're fucking liars. They don't spin, they fucking lie. And I get called a racist for it. What the fuck? I do say, even when I was doing the slave trade in the lectures, this is before I started doing that. You know, I used to just say about the wretched people who became subhuman and sold. What kinds of a race is that to do that? You sell cattle, but they're not human. They're animals. And yet human beings were being dehumanized. That's how I put it over. And when I say, like, that no slaves landed, you're called a racist. And what do you know? Yeah, okay. Sell them to fuck off then. Oh, you can't say fuck off. I don't know what is going on there. But that was a cracking thing there. I'm sorry there. I went right past it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about what Phil said about Tucker Carlson. I mean, about the Russians. See, I'm getting tired now. The bloke who invented dynamite was mistakenly declared dead. The public response was so bad, it caused him to create the Nobel Peace Prize to improve his image. It's mad, isn't it? Dynamite that kills people, and you get the Peace Prize. I could go on about that fucking Mercado. Do you know what? I think this is this Evertonian, the look at it. You might have fucking go. Cedric, Woodmaster, sorry Frank. I have to be honest, I haven't watched much of this. We'll watch later. Been busy at work. Take care of yourself. And yeah, chat. Take. Don't worry, Cedric. I'm gonna go, people. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Don't tell him, Pike. Exactly. Brilliant. Jones and Walker's conversation in the butcher's cold store was my fave's dad's army, says Peter. Do you know, I stopped watching it when Walker died. He wasn't in it. I don't like any changes you say like that. And the same goes for Hello when one of the girls left. I just stopped watching it. Stop watching them. Cast member goes. India Buildings, Liverpool, yes. Art Deco. Janet. What's this fella? Grade 2 it is. Grade 2 star. If you're talking about India Buildings. Peter. What? Now Liverpool is responsible for the atom bomb. Yeah. And Liverpool Football Club. We're a weapon of mass destruction. Or we were under Klopp. So James Chadwick. Cherry O'Gang, says Peter. See you, Peter. And Phil. Good to see you tonight. Thanks, Frank and Chatters. Thank you. And Janet. Good night, God bless Frank and fellow chatters. You'll never walk alone. Peace. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, mate. Night, Frank and chat, says the poet. Good night, poet. And Stephen says, it's probably the real McCoy under a different name with the trolls. Yes. Find them out. That's one the other night. That's he gets shot. That's he gets shot. We've had Bluey. That real McCoy. Don't know why they do it. Are you me dad? Toscana. Grazie, Franco. I must have been listening as looking at. Oh, hope all goes well tomorrow. Good night to you. All right, Toscana. I hope your boy's okay. I really do. You know the score with me. The real McCoy, what a ray of sunshine he is. And on that wonderful note, mille grazie to my beautiful Italian girls. Ci vediamo. And to the rest, see you tomorrow on the football show. And look out for those fuckers, those trolls. Thank you so much, people. Thank you. Good shout that there, the real McCoy. What a ray of sunshine he is. Thank you, Peter.